Welcome to the Deals Finder Corner. So it's your weekly property talk show brought to you by Property Filter, hosted by myself, Guillaume Black, your favorite Frenchman, the CEO and co-founder at Property Filter. So it's the UK highest rated platform to find deals, and we are on a mission to empower our property members, investors, and deal sourcers to find 1,000 deals this year alone, thanks to the Property Filter blueprint. And the purpose of this Deal Finder Corner is to give you more and the best of the available resources, inviting expert guests who will share with you the latest when it comes to the current strategies, tactics, and secrets about what actually works right now in terms of finding deals, making deals, and the reality of systemizing and running a high-performance business in property. So it really is my pleasure today to introduce to you my good friend, Matt Baker, on today's Deal Finder Corner. So Matt is going to share with us the secrets on how you can build a six-figure sustainable income through HMOs, co-living, without funding it all yourself. So you might know Matt from speaking at Parliament, flagging the HMO banner for us HMO investors and landlord, trying to fix the banding of the HMO rooms. But outside of that, he's actually doing quite a few things himself. So he's a property investor who specializes in co-living HMOs development. He's a co-founder and award-winning, and we can see behind him, he's sitting against quite a shelf of awards, property developer company. So that's the Scott Baker Properties. And he co-founded the HMO platforms, again, another award-winning property training and mentoring business that inspired hundreds of people to get started with HMOs. And since 2015, Matt started to investing and employing a customer-first approach, which has led him to a £5 million property portfolio in his first 5 years, and becoming this award-winning developer through the Scott Baker Properties brand. So what you can expect for today, so Matt is going to talk us through how co-living HMOs reduce the management hassle and provide consistency in profits months on months. The one simple thing about property sourcing you can do to start getting deals to come your way that will you actually want to buy, that always stack. The key to becoming investable and raising multiple six-figure investment to scale your business, and we'll follow that with a few Q&A on exclusive access to Matt today. So I'm very much looking forward to hearing more about Matt's talk today. Please give a massive welcome to Mr. Matt Baker. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you so much, Guillaume, and thank you for inviting me on here. I'm very, very excited that we've our paths have finally crossed, and that we're doing something together. It's amazing, and also I'm very excited that we have the same water bottle. So cheers and snap to an amazing session this evening. Yes, so I'm just going to share my screen now, if I can, Guillaume. I think. I can't do it at the moment.
Sorry. So you should be able to.
Here we go. Yeah. So I'm going to share my screen. I've got a few slides this evening. So this evening, the talk tonight is a little bit about co-living, a little bit about HMOs, a little bit about strategy, a little about finance. And you guys are probably tuned in because maybe you're having some difficulties, to get that deal flow, getting those deals to come through that actually work. Maybe you're having a few issues with raising finance. You want to get a sense of where that capital comes from to do deals if you need to raise finance to move forward. Potentially you're looking to increase your income to hit those cash flow goals that you're looking for, to potentially leave your job, or potentially to move further forward in your property business. I know you guys that are in here, the room today, probably got some experience in property investing. In fact, let's do a quick straw poll just so we know who's in the room. Let me see if I can see the chat. Bear with me. If you are completely new to property investing and you haven't yet done your first deal, type a number 1 in the chat. If you've done maybe some buy-to-lets but not done any HMOs, type a number 2. If you've already got HMOs, type a number 3. In fact, if you've got 1 or 2, then you're probably in that number 2 camp. If you've got like 3 or more HMOs, type a number 3. If you're doing some other property strategy, type a number 4. And then we get a sense of who's in the room, so I don't go and do a presentation that is completely irrelevant. So we do have some complete beginners. Brilliant. Okay. We've got some HMOs. Most people sitting there with buy-to-lets and maybe 1 or 2 HMOs. Okay, they're brilliant. And we do have some other strategies. Okay. Brilliant. So we do have a mixed bag. That's absolutely fine. And that does help me so that I don't assume that you all know everything, all know nothing. So that's really helpful. Thank you very much for sharing. Okay, let me organize my screen again. So you're over there, I'm over here. And perhaps move that back. Brilliant. So let's get on. So yeah, this is essentially where we got to in our first 4 years of investing. And this might not be you in the future, but this is where we got following the same strategy that I'm going to show you here today. And yeah, you're probably wanting to get similar results as to, so these are a couple of our clients that we've worked with. Faris there on the left, 27K cash flow from property. Scott's getting a 34% return on his investment. You want to get those types of results. The things we're seeing these results happen all the time. And here are just some of the messages that I've had over the past few weeks and months from some of our clients. And you can see that we've got offers being accepted on deals. We're getting cash being raised. I just think for a moment, what would it do for you, your goals, your aspirations to be able to raise, £100,000, £200,000, £300,000 or more to develop future-proof projects that are going to give you that income month on month, and what would it do for your confidence to be able to know that you can get those offers accepted? I know Property Filter has a huge part to play in that, and we'll come into that a bit later, but just think about how that would make you feel and what that would do for you. And a key thing to note is that the results that we've had, they're not typical. Our results, your results will vary from ours. And I'm going to be covering a lot of different things today, different types of investing, with some good deals, some great deals. But just as a reminder, I'm not going to be able to fit in everything that I've known over the past 8 years into just a short session. What I can promise you is tonight I'm going to teach you the goods on how and why we and our clients did certain things to create consistent results when finding deals and raising capital. But first and foremost, who am I? Well, I'm Matt Baker. I'm a musician. I'm a piano teacher, in fact. I'm a family man. I have a wife and 2 kids, two kids now, who are the center of my world. And I'm at a position now where I want to be, because life could have been very different. Now, I was in my mid-20s. I saw a friend of mine who was a guitarist in a band I was playing with at the time. He just turned 40, and for me, that's next year. But he just turned 40 about 15 years ago now. He was still working as a waiter while he was still in this band, trying to make it in the music industry. That's when I realized that I wanted to do something different for my family that was to come. I wanted choice. I wanted freedom to be able to see my kids grow up and spend that valuable time with them, being the best parent possible. Because income from a musician is a roller coaster ride. It's up and down. You never know where your next gig or payday is coming from. And there were some great times, and there were some truly nail-biting times. And when I made that decision to do something different, the first thing I did was set up a music school as my first business. But it's when I tried to grow this music school business that I accidentally came across property investing at a business networking event. I saw a lady talking about property investing, how I could do it with no time and no money. And I'm like, well, that's me. And I always knew that investing in property was something I wanted to do, but I hadn't realized that I could start now. The best thing to do in property is to buy as soon as possible and hold it for as long as possible. That's what creates true wealth. And now my property portfolio gives me that ability to do music on my terms. This is a photo of the launch gig of the album that I've been writing over the last 4 years with some amazing world-class musicians. I think I do have it. Here we go. Shameless plug. Lokeba, Delirio by Lokeba. If you like jazz, Latin, Afro-Cuban music, then you'll absolutely love that. You go find it on Spotify. There we go. Sorry, Guillaume, going off on a tangent there. But property's given me the time for my passion, and more importantly, my family as well. And I can choose to do things I absolutely love. I choose to play piano, and then I choose to develop properties, and then to help others to develop properties, because I've always felt I've been a natural teacher. I always wanted to learn and then to share what I'm learning, because I love sharing information. I love seeing people succeed. It started with the piano and helping other people to learn and to develop a new passion. And now in property, I can have a much greater impact on many more people by helping them to create a brighter financial future. And one way which I've done this is by writing my book, which I'm very proud to say is an Amazon #1 bestseller. And this is the second edition of Next Level Landlord. If you want a digital copy, I'm more than happy to send you one. So just send me an email. I'm sure Guillaume will share my details at the end. I'm more than happy to give you a free digital copy of that. But the pandemic allowed me to gather my thoughts and write down our systems and processes and refine them into a very straightforward process and guidebook for anyone looking to do what we call next level HMOs and co-living spaces. I'm also proud to say that we've been featured in many media outlets over the last year or so for my thought leadership around good quality shared housing and the property market in general. And our successes, as Guillaume mentioned, culminated in winning 3 awards at the HMO Awards and the book, the training, and one of our deals. And that's the same deal which won Best Co-Living Deal of the Year 2022 at the Property Investors Awards. But when I say we, who am I referring to? This is myself and Niall Scott, the other half of Scott's Baker Properties. We first met back in 2015, and we were in a very similar position to you guys that are probably starting out now. We were desperate to get serious monthly cash flow from our property portfolio. That was our shared vision. And we set a goal, and that was to double the size of our portfolio every year. We did that for the first 5 years until we kind of went smashing into a pandemic. And that was producing us some serious monthly cash flow. So what was it that we were looking to do in order to create that cash flow? Well, we knew that we wanted to remain in the private residential sector. We wanted to rent to working people that had the affordability to pay rent, and we wanted to do a high cash flowing strategies. So like many of you here today, those of you that have already got HMOs, that was our chosen strategy. So what is it about HMOs which is good? Well, obviously it's the cash flow. It's the amount of money you can make by maximizing a property. So you can take a house which is underused, instead of renting it by the entire property, we will rent it by the room. And that makes a lot more sense for certain larger properties. But there's this perception around HMOs, around poor quality, around poor tenants, around lots of management challenges and management issues. I'm sure that some of you have got your own issues and concerns about getting into HMOs, which potentially we could hope to solve here today. And what we'll do, actually, we will do a quick straw poll. What's the first issue or challenge or hurdle that you guys have currently got? So in the chat, just type, what is the first one thing that comes into your mind, which is a challenge when it comes to HMOs? It could be the perception, could be can't find them, could be money, could be, what is it? So just type in the chat. Let me see if I can locate the chat again. Cleaning. Profitability, says Jess. Good to see you, Jess. Funds, says Glenn. Funds. Builders do the conversion. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's always a challenge. Money, tenant issues, hassle of tenants, can't find properties, water leaks. Yeah, leaky houses. I've got a few. Yeah, they happen. Yeah, knowledge, finance, tenants. Oh my God, it keeps going. Rules and regulations, funding, guests, regs. Okay, lots of different things coming out there. And you know what? We had some of these concerns at the beginning as well, but we knew that if we could take these negatives, turn them into positives, that we'd have a huge opportunity and a very solid business model. So the solution that we have found that covers off most of those issues, and for co-living, it provides, for Scott Baker Properties, it continues to provide us with maximum efficiency in our business and then internal profits. And this is the co-living word that I was talking about earlier. And I'm going to talk more about co-living as we go through today, so don't worry. This was a real light bulb moment for us, because the opportunity for co-living as a cash flow investment right now is really unmatched. You've got reliable, sustainable income. Think about that portfolio I showed at the beginning. That's it's been built up in those first 4 years, and that income is very reliable, very sustainable, and very profitable. It comes in month on month with very few challenges, because for co-living, we have a community of people that live together, that they get on, they solve their own issues, they pay a high rent for a high quality property. Now, we do have some older stock that we did when we first started, which are not as good. They're not as next level. And those are the ones that cause us the most challenges. But as we evolved and we got better, each one we did was better than the last. You know, we hardly hear a peep out of any of the co-living properties that we have. At the moment, now is the time, because demand for HMO rentals is through the roof. And we've got tenants that are downsizing from flats into shared housing, and good quality shared housing, because they can't afford it. And we've got rental properties like flats and houses are being lost daily. The stat came out a couple of months ago was that 66 properties are being lost every single day. 66 rental properties are being lost every single day. So where are all these people going to live? There aren't enough like family homes or flats for them. So the demand for HMOs is going up, but the supply is reducing. But the people that are living in them, they're still working. We just saw the stats that came out about wages up almost 8%, it was 8 to 9% in the last year. That's huge. So wages are increasing. The people are still working, but they're watching their pennies, and they want that great living experience. Also, there is a good demand for people who want to buy from investors, high net worth individuals, people who want that hands-off experience. They will buy and pay a premium for a high quality property at the end. So the end values of the higher quality co-living properties are quite sustainable right now as well, because they can't get those returns anywhere near those returns on buy-to-lets anymore. Okay. So now is a good time. But what about the market? You might be thinking, well, interest rates, going up too high. Well, if that's the case, we need high cash flow. That's why HMOs are one of the only strategies which continue to work in the current market. So if you think property prices are too high as well, we also need that high cash flow to sustain those higher mortgages. And if the market might crash, which is doing a little bit of a dip at the moment, and if it continues to go down, then great. Because if I would be able to start again in property, maybe I can get a time machine out and I can go back in time. I'll be going back to 2007, 2008, and it's starting to snap up all of those great deals, 2009, 2010, when the market crashed. So if the market's going to crash, great. I don't think we're going to see a big crash, if I'm honest, but I'm not an economist. And if I'm wrong, that's fine too. But that's the best time to buy. So that's okay, because this is your opportunity. HMOs are possible for all, from that new person to the more experienced, as long as it's done the right way. So we've got clients like Marina, I'm going to introduce you a bit later, who's done her very first property investment as a 9-bedroom HMO, which makes her almost £2,000 a month profit per month, every single month, and is an absolutely stunning property. That's her first co-living HMO. It's her first property investment at all, but it's her first co-living HMO as well. So it is possible if done the right way. And when we started, there was definitely no dedicated mentorship that would get into the detail of the day-to-day running and reality of building an HMO portfolio, especially when it came to co-living. So that was not a light bulb moment for us. So back in 2018, again, as Gia mentioned, we set up the HMO platform that enabled others to follow our methods and add to the co-living momentum alongside us. So we've been going now for probably 4.5 years in training and mentoring other people, which has been an absolute joy to do. And I'm going to show you some case studies later on of a couple of our clients. And it does feel a bit awkward to say, and I don't want it to come across arrogant, but we do work differently to others, because we have an entire team in place that works hard alongside to support our clients to really make sure they get the outcome they want of that sustainable high cash flowing HMOs and the ability to repeat and scale. And I'm very proud to say that the majority of people we work with go on to buy and convert existing property. I know we've got some of them in the room tonight, and then they go on to turn them into co-living spaces. And remember I said that no one has a purpose-built trading platform for that co-living strategy and future-proof HMOs. That is still true to this day. No one does the way that what we do and the way that we do it. So we are still very unique in the whole trading space. Cool. So we've got a few bits I want to get into, but is this sounding good so far? Everyone pumped and excited? Let's give me a number 7 in the chat if you're still with us. So excited to dive into it a bit more. Brilliant. Oh, fantastic. Cheers, guys. Always good to see. When we go into share screen, I can't really see anybody, so it's good to know. Good to see you guys are still there. So let's get into it. So we're going to look at these three elements that Guillaume mentioned at the beginning. So secret number one, how co-living HMOs reduce management hassles and provide consistently high profits month on month. Then we're going to get into number two, which is the one simple thing you can do to start getting deals to come to you that you actually want to buy. I wasted so much time at the very beginning of my property investment journey, career, adventure, whatever you want to call it, scrolling through Rightmove. That you don't need to be doing that anymore. And secret number three is the key to becoming investable and raising multiple six-figure investments. They're actually going to scale your business. And yeah, these three secrets are what these guys knew to generate that type of revenue: £27,000 a year from one property in profit, and returns of over 30%. So let's get into it. Secret number one: how co-living HMOs reduce management hassles and provide consistently high profits month on month. So co-living, what is it about co-living? Well, an HMO is a technical definition. It's a house of multiple occupation as defined in the Housing Act. It's three or more unrelated people from two or more households. That's a technical definition of a house of multiple occupation, with a few other caveats and exceptions. Co-living, so this is the house. Co-living is the aura that goes around it that makes it all work. So when you can create meaningful relationships between people living in your property, then they're going to start to enjoy where they're living. Then they're more likely to get on. Therefore, they're more likely to stay for long periods of time. Therefore, they're going to be happier. They're going to be able to pay, going to be more likely to resolve issues amongst themselves. So we can strive to create a great community. And if we achieve that in the property, that's going to be a big win. And in order to do that, we want to create the space that enables that community to come together. So these are the three elements. And we need that great space. We're not talking about tiny rooms. We're talking about large spaces that can facilitate people to form connections, and well-designed spaces as well. So I've seen some great-looking properties, over social media with some really interesting, design choices, which don't actually enable people to talk to each other. So, and I've also heard people talk about the fact that people don't use communal space and you just make it as small as possible. And if you make it a space as unusable and as small as possible, then it's never going to be used. So what if we were to take a good space, give it a great design, and we're not just talking about the color of the walls, but then we take the third thing, which is the most important part of co-living, which is the service that is provided. So if you're managing your properties yourself, you can have an impact on this. If you're not, this is about having the right agent and the right agent with the right mindset to managing your properties as well. So that's the trifactor that will encourage the formation of meaningful relationships, and you're so much more likely to create that community which has all those benefits. Now, if you think that the idea of co-living is a new one, you would be wrong, because it's been around for a very long time, but it's really only just come into focus in the last few years. So that's what we're looking for: great space, great design, and great service to form that great community. And here's some stats around what's happening right now and the context as to why it's so valuable to us. Now, the average age of a co-living tenant has risen to over 28 years. I wouldn't be surprised if this is even higher, because this stats is probably about a year old now. In fact, in London, it is over 30. We know that. So that means that we've got people from the ages from probably like after university, 21, 22, all the way up to their late 30s, living in these properties, and that has increased by 5 years over the last 4. So we know that they're living in co-living properties for a longer period of their lives until they're older. So they're either choosing to stay there, or they're having to stay there by financial limitations, and then they can move on to either renting flats, moving in with people, buying houses, because co-living is highly affordable as well. You might be thinking, well, £850,000 a room for rental. Is that affordable? Well, compare that to renting a flat and paying all the bills. And we do this calculation very often all over the country when a client is looking at different areas. And I've seen calculations where a tenant would save between £2,000 and £7,000 a year by choosing to live in a shared house rather than living on their own. So it is affordable, and it is a way of being able to help people to manage their money better. Now, another key thing is that the average duration of a co-living tenancy, so the amount of time a person lives in a property, is now over 18 months. Our average tenancy is over 2 years. I've just had a tenant move out who's been in that property 4.5 years. So he's moving area. So and that was a property we did in 2018. And she was the first tenant that moved into that room, 2018, 2019. To get my dates right, but she's been there 4.5 years. So I had a message from the agent saying, would you like to redecorate the room? I was like, yes, please. So that's absolutely fine, because I've saved so much money in tenant turnover, in tenant fine fees, and just redecorating the room for 4.5 years worth of rent, I think, is quite a good deal. So HMOs are a lot less transient than people think. People are seeing them as their home, so we need to provide a home for them to live in. I'm shortly going to show you some case studies, properties, of what great design space service looks like. But before I do, I want to share with you our thinking on why it works. If you follow the rinse and repeat methods that you may have heard of previously or of old, you run the risk of falling into the middle of a highly commoditized HMO marketplace. So down here on this particular map. So the best example of how to explain this is if you're going to go buy a new computer. Let's say you walk into Currys. On the left-hand side, you've got row after row of laptops. They're all very similar. You've got they're grey, they're black, silver. You've got Acer, Asus, HP, Dell, etc., etc., etc. You walk up and down, trying to work out which one is the better laptop to buy. Look at the numbers on the slip there, trying to work out which is the good number. Is it supposed to be higher? Is it supposed to be lower? You go and look for some help, and then there's no one around to help you. So you make a decision based on the most important number to you, which is the price. Probably not the cheapest one, but probably not the most expensive one either. So there's no differentiation between the two, or between the different types of laptops you've got. And that's a highly commoditized marketplace. And the profit margins on those are very, very small. Because in a highly commoditized marketplace, there's only one way that price can go, which is down. So let's now go back. Let's go back in time and walk you back into Currys. And then this time we're going to turn right. On the right-hand side, you've got 1 or 2 tables that are just full of Macs. You've got your MacBook Air, you've got your MacBook Pro, you've got your iPad Pro, you've got all these different names of products that are all made by the same manufacturer. But if you notice, none of them's called a computer. They're not called a laptop or a PC. They're called a Mac, an iMac. It's got their own brand, their own identity, and they're just designed to work with the user in mind. And because of that, they've created their own marketplace, and their profit margins shoot up. When they first brought out the iMac G3, which was the first iteration of this in 1998, profit margins on those were over 20%, as compared to probably very small single figures on the rest of the market. So that's what we do when we create our next level HMOs. We don't follow the herd. We create our own marketplace. And in real terms, what this means is being in the top 5% of the market, because the best properties will attract the highest rent and the best tenants who will look after your property and who can afford to pay those market-leading rents. So here's a bit of a case study. He's one of our clients. He's Scott. He is a plasterer, or was a plasterer now. He was an accidental HMO landlord. Now, he was doing his own house, turning it into an HMO, and he realized how great that income was. So he then set out to go buy another one, but this time on purpose. And he was going through the purchase process on a property that was quite expensive in East Sussex, West Sussex. And he had a friend, a guy called Greg, who we were working with at the time. And Greg said to him, well, I think you should go and speak to Matt and Niall about this property you're about to buy and get their opinion. So we sat down with him and we explained what we thought would happen if he bought this property. and basically told him that he was planning to create a beige box on a very expensive property. So he very quickly pulled out of that one and then started working with us. And within a couple of weeks, had an offer accepted on this one, this time in Portsmouth. And this is a great example of being able to recognize potential in a project you may well just scrolled or walked past in the street. So question for you guys to see if you're all still paying attention. What can you see about this property that stands out? Where is the potential for development? Let's just have a quick look. I can see questions coming in, by the way, and we'll do questions at the end. So Guillaume, if you could make a note of anything that was in the chat, because we might lose it in a minute.
Yep.
Yeah, cheers. So where are we? Side, extension, basement, outrigger, dormer, side of the property, roof, extend sideways, side and roof. Brilliant. And this was the conversation that we had with Scott when he came across this one. So in order to know whether this was a good deal for him, he needed to know the strategy to follow, which was no longer the beige box. It was the next level HMO co-living style of property that was going to maximize his return. You also need to know how to maximize planning permissions for a better profit, because a lot of the changes of that house required planning permission. In fact, in Portsmouth, it is an Article 4 area, so the entire change of use from house to HMO requires planning permission. But we were able to guide him through that process, and that went through. But it did go through with no issues, but there was a bit of a time delay because we had COVID and Portsmouth Council are horrendous. But it worked out very well for him in the end, because that's what he needed to know was going to have the biggest impact on his bank balance, and that's what co-living does. So here's a bit of a tip for you tonight about planning. Some of you will know this stuff. For others of you, this will be new. So I'm just going to do a brief overview of some of the things that you can do with a house, unless it's in a conservation area, some of the things you can do with a house to maximize your planning. So generally, we would use these permitted development rights first, which is something that we're allowed to do generally without asking the council, because it's a planning permission which has been granted at the central level by the main government. So it enables us to go and extend and expand our property in sometimes quite large ways. So if we look at the loft, for example, we can extend a loft by an extra 50 cubic meters if your house is detached or semi-detached. That could be a full dormer along the back, could also be on the side. So as long as you don't touch the front elevation, you can add that 50 cubic meters of extra space. If you have a terraced house, that 50 cubic meters reduces to 40 cubic meters extra. Now, I've seen architects get this wrong before, and I've had arguments with architects in the past where I've just been right because they do all sorts of weird and wonderful things when trying to work out that extra extension. It's very simple. You've got the original roof. How much am I sticking onto it, and what is the cubic meterage of what I'm sticking onto it? It's very straightforward. But there are some restrictions about how far in you need to come with it, etc. So a good architect will be able to draw that within the permitted development right. You can also do some rear extensions to the property, up to 8 meters long if you've got a detached property. Now, if you've got a detached property, the 8 meters, the first 4 meters you can do from the original building line as it stood in 1948, then you don't have to ask permission. If you want to do that, the final 4 meters, you will do what's called a neighborhood consultation, and both your direct neighbors will have an input in whether they like the fact you're going out a long way. So just be aware of that. Now, if you've got a semi-detached or a terrace property, that limit comes to 6 meters as the most, and the first 3 meters is you can just do it, and the 3 meters beyond that, then you would consult your neighbors. We've done that quite a few times. I had no issues with neighbors. I have seen other people have issues with neighbors. You've got to get your neighbors on side. Or if you're looking at potential property and the next door neighbor's got a completely beautifully manicured garden and you're about to put a behemoth extension all the way out the back, it's unlikely that they're going to be very happy about it. So we do this with our eyes wide open and see where the potential is. Also, if you want to do a double story re-extension, you can do 3 meters, as long as you've got at least 7 meters beyond that in your garden left. So that's a double story. And again, there are some limitations about where that re-extension goes to the back of your property. But to be honest, I generally find I get more floor space just doing the single story extension. That's what I'm looking for, extra floor space when creating an HMO. And then we've got side extensions up to half the width of the existing house as well. So that's a single story. So I would always work with a good quality planning consultant or architect to understand your permitted development rights in full. But what I do is aim to create that space. And once I've created that space, I can go to the council and go, I've got this amazing big property. Can I now have permission to convert it into a large HMO, which is exactly what Scott did. So he went from a C3 family dwelling and applied for a 7-bedroom sui generis dwelling house. It's in an Article 4 area, but sui generis requires planning anyway. But Portsmouth got a very clear tick list. We went through all of those, and he passed all of those tests. So he got that permission through with no issues. Cool. Here you can see the what he did. I went all the way along the side there, which enabled him to get 2 bedrooms and 2 en-suites in that property. It's a bit of a TARDIS. And that's what we love about certain these types of properties in an area like Portsmouth. And to be fair, if we're going to do a loft conversion, I generally want to be able to get 2 bedrooms up there to justify the cost of the scaffolding and all the works, etc., to add the most value. Okay, now we talked about co-living communal space. This is what he's created. Now, to allow them to stay as a collective, we want them to stay longer. This means less management, less turnover of tenants, more profit. So with the more communal space, I would say, yes, we need that communal space to allow the formation of those meaningful relationships. And in Portsmouth, they have standards that you have to comply with, which are big anyway. So in practice, you can see a seating area where 6 or 7 people can sit together. You've got a large kitchen. We've got a large seating area where people can sit together and watch a movie or the football. They might be watching England play Australia in the morning here. And they've also got an outbuilding where they've got he's got like a garage which is converted into a co-working space and another TV, put like nice patio doors on it, and then a nice seating area out the back. So it's all about that communal space. And this is what it looked like when he started. And wow, this is the finished project. What a difference. You can see the dormer up the top. You can see why it's permitted development, because you can't really see it from the front, but it goes all the way along the back of the side. Here's that bespoke communal area. And as I said before, everyone can sit and eat on that table. People can sit and watch the TV together. And there is that outhouse and the garden space as well, which allow people to do that. And, we have a design process which involves tenant well-being. It's all about the customer first, that tenant first approach. And we always use nature as our inspiration. And Scott worked with one of our interior designers to make sure that he got the best kind of wow, but more, this is my home, this is where I want to stay for a long period of time. So that's what he was able to do. And as you can see why people, by the level of finish, why people stay in these rooms for a long period of time, and they pay close to £800 a month now. When he first ran these numbers, he was running them on 675, 650, 675. They're now paying up to £800 for rooms in this property, which is fantastic. So we've got purchase price. He spent a decent amount of money on it, but it was well worth it because he had that huge uplift, which you get through the planning, and it is well worth over £600,000 now. Cool. If you've got any questions about that, we'll come to it at the end, because I know Guillaume's going to start to G me up in a moment. Let's get into secret number 2, which is about actually getting some deals done, because we know that getting a deal is the most important thing before we can start to either do it ourselves, sell it on to someone else, or even raise any money. So this is the one simple thing that you can do to start getting deals to come to you that you actually want to buy. So we need to know who has access to them. So this might seem common sense, but it's important to understand the motivation of a vendor. So if a vendor is looking to sell their property in the near future, they're going to put it on with an estate agent, because an estate agent has the widest pool of potential buyers. It goes online, it goes in the window. And if people are looking for property in the area, they're generally going to go and look for it that way. So they're going to go to the estate agent, or they're going to go Rightmove or Zoopla or on the market. And so they've got access to a lot of deals. But so have lettings agents, because they're managing a lot of property. If a landlord is going to sell, and a lot of landlords are selling right now, then a letting agent is probably going to be one of the first people to find out about it before anybody else. Then there are sourcing agents. Now, sourcing agents, they work for you. They go out there and try and find those properties. That's something that you can do if you're looking to make money from property, but you've got to do it the right way. You need to understand the strategy. And a lot of sourcing agents, it's a bit buyer beware. You have to be able to appraise those deals yourself. So you're definitely in the right place to know how to, what to look for and how to appraise those deals in the way that an investor would. What I prefer is a sourcing agent that takes my criteria and then goes looking for that for me. But ultimately, you guys got access to vendors because you know property, you know people, you've got property, and at some point they may want to sell. So it's important that everyone knows what you do and that you essentially would like to speak to them at the point they want to sell, because you might be able to find someone to buy that property, or you might be able to buy it yourself, getting rid of estate agent fees, make that process really smooth for them. And for some of you out there, you might be thinking, well, I don't really have time to source. And for others, you might be thinking, well, I've got a bit of time. I want to make sure that I'm doing it the right way and I'm not taking that scattergun approach, because there are so many options. I just don't know which one to go for. So for both of you, here's the answer. And this secret will mean you reduce the time that you input into working with all of those different types of people I mentioned a moment ago. And the answer is called the hunting brief. And this is the key document that you must produce. First and foremost, it's for you, because it gives you clarity on exactly the types of property that you want to buy and exactly the locations you want them. Once you've got that clarity, you can convey that to the agents. What you do, once you've created the hunting brief, you hand it to the agents, you print it off, take it to them in person, and all of a sudden, you're going to find you get calls from them about deals you actually want to buy. It makes you look professional, and it makes you look serious and builds that rapport with agents. Now, this example on the screen is one that from one of our early clients, and we use a bit of a specific formula to create these. So I think you guys would probably say you've got time to put a hunting brief together. It might take a day or two of research to understand your locations, but now there's no excuse not to start sourcing more effectively. And this is how our clients are getting deals time and time again. You've got David on the left here. He's and his mum Julie. They're working together, and he said the hunting brief was a game changer for them. It's how they got 2 offers accepted in the course of 3 months working with us, and they did it based on our hunting brief template. They printed it off when they visited the agent. Now, they'd already had a conversation with the agent over the phone, and they went into the office. They handed it directly to the agent. The agent said, "This is wonderful. I've never seen one of these before." And the agent said, "I think I've got exactly the thing that you're looking for right now. Would you like to go view it on Saturday?" So this was on the Thursday, viewing on the Saturday, met the owner, chatted with the owner, found out the owner's motivations, and on the Monday had the offer accepted. And they're now building this one out as a 13-bedroom. It's got planning permission, beautiful property in Derby, 13-bedroom co-living HMO. It's going to be the best one in town, and there are some good ones in Derby already. So now, I'm not going to say that hunting brief is going to get you those results as quickly, but even if it took you 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks to get that deal through, and you're doing multiple techniques, you're going to be moving forward. And obviously, we're here because of Property Filter, and this is the way to implement the hunting brief really effectively, really quickly. Now, I'm sure a lot of you know about Property Filter already. If you don't, you need to get it. But this speeds things up no end. Now, we've started using it in the last few months, and it's opened up opportunities to us that we had missed by not having the time to scroll through Rightmove. And this does the heavy lifting for us. So I'm not going to go into this in detail because I think you guys already know about Property Filter. If you don't, I'm sure Guillaume will be able to tell you a bit more about it. But in order to get deals, you need to get a Property Filter, number one, but you also need to tell everyone what you do. But you need to tell them exactly what you're looking for, and be very specific. That's how it works. Specificity gets you the results. Scattergun doesn't get you any results. So that's what we're looking to achieve. I'm going to jump forward a little bit and head straight into secret number 3. So I know we're starting to run out of time, and I want to get to those questions. And this is the key to becoming investable and raising 6-figure investments that are going to scale your business. So, question for you: How much money is there out there? How much money do you think there is out there in the world? That is an open question. Try in the chat. Loads. Al, yeah, infinite. There we go. Rob, Al, John says trillions. A lot more than trillions. Limitless. Exactly. There is literally an infinite amount of money, because they keep printing it. They're numbers on a screen. But the key thing to note is that there is an infinite amount of money out there to do everything that you want to do in business and in life. So the question is, how can you influence it to make its way to you? So let's take a look at that. Well, why mightn't people invest in and with you now? Well, the major reason you need to understand is the lack of return being offered to investors on the high street across the board, on average. Interest rates in average savings accounts have been really low. So obviously you might be thinking, well, they've got a bit higher now. Yeah, so you can get a 6 or 7% interest account with some banks at the moment, but you can only put in £100 a month up to a maximum of whatever it is. And guess what? Interest rates will come down by next year. So before I might be able to say, well, I can, do 3 or 4 times, the interest rate you can get in the bank. Now I can say I've got quite comfortably, I can double what rates you're getting in the bank, because for that level of investment, you can only get these rates because of the limitations of those types of accounts. So interest rates are still on average really low. Whereas as an investor doing property, you can consistently give those interest rates over the long run. If we look at money in real terms, with money in the bank, even with interest rates at, let's say they can get an interest rate of 5% in the bank, they're still losing money because inflation is still higher than that. So, but let's think for a moment. If we've got people sitting with money in their savings accounts and ISAs, which is in real terms, it's depreciating, how much money is actually sitting in those accounts? So let's think about for a moment, how much money do we potentially have access to? And these were some stats we saw earlier in the year. There are £268 billion sitting in people's savings accounts and ISAs losing money. That's a lot of money, losing a lot of money. And you only need a fraction of that money to build a very, very successful business. And this is another key thing to be aware of. Inflation is very high still. We've got murmuring that's about to come down to the
Matt,
6s.
Sorry,
Hello.
Matt, I think we're frozen again. We're still on the interest rates.
Oh, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Here we go. Yeah,
Slowly.
we're good. We're good now.
Thank you. We're almost there, almost to the end.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, it's awesome. I really enjoying it.
So, real rates after inflation are negative. Exactly, Rob. That's exactly the point that they were saying. The rates after inflation are still negative. So let's think about the target that the Bank of England got. They got a target of 2% of inflation. That's what they're trying to get it back to. So if someone puts £100,000 in the bank and just leaves it there, then it's worth only £98,000 the year after that. So people who leave their money in the bank are always going to be losing money. It's the worst place to put it. And there's £268 billion sitting there ready for the taking. Because these people need to be investing in an asset which benefits from inflation. Property, whether that's property value or whether that's the rent from that property. Because people, are still disillusioned with traditional routes and they're desperate to get their money working for them. Just think what's going to happen when interest rates start going down. And so there'll be some people going, oh, I'm getting 4% of my money. Oh, I'm getting 5% of my money. And then in 3 months' time, 4 months' time, 5 months' time, they'll be like, I'm only getting 3% on my money now. It's going down. Think about that mindset and how helpful that mindset is going to be for raising finance. So when you turn around and say, well, I'll give you 6 or 7, and they're like, okay, that might be interesting, or whatever rates that your deal allows you to offer. Because the key is that you are the solution to their problem, and they just don't know it yet. So up to this point, you may have been frustrating getting deals. And you maybe haven't had a strategy nailed down to run with, but what I've shown you so far this evening is that you can have confidence that, number one, you've got access to a proven and defined strategy through co-living. Number two, you've got your hunting brief and your property filter that together combined means that you've got a way to implement that strategy. And then you are now on the road to becoming investable because you've got those two things in place. You have a proven business model and a way to implement it. Once you've done that, raising finance is just that next step, because people invest in people. If you can clearly convey your strategy, our strategy, and where the returns are generated for the investor with confidence and certainty, then people will invest in you and your business. So now you've got clarity, start telling everyone what you do. Now, you've probably been told before to say, I'm doing property. I'm a professional property investor. No, that doesn't cut it. We've got to say, this is my strategy. This is my business model. This is why I'm going to be successful. And what I suggest you do is practice saying what you do in just 30 seconds. I'm sure most of you have been, you've got a 30-second pitch, but just imagine going to a party, a networking event, a business event, or a wedding, and someone says, hey, nice to meet you. What do you do? Hi, I'm Matt. I'm a piano player, property investor. We invest in houses. We bring them back to life, creating amazing shared living spaces for people to live. We aim to build communities with those properties so that they have an amazing living experience. Because of that, we get an amazing return on investment when working with our investors. We've raised over £3 million of investor finance to date. What do? You think that might start a conversation, or they might just turn around and walk off, but probably not a good person to have a conversation with anyway. But that's just something like, I just put together, rolled off the tongue, but, I'm sure you can find something for yourself, which is memorable, and you never know where a conversation might lead. And these two clients of ours are just absolutely amazing at raising finance. Rena, I mentioned her at the beginning. She raised £200,000 for her first project from family and work colleagues. As in the background, she's an accountant. She is very analytical, didn't believe that anyone would invest in her because she didn't have the confidence in herself and was just massively overthinking it. So when she had a hunting brief and a strategy combined, she then started using her investment proposal and one of our templates that she put together. With our support and leveraging our experience, she then was able to, to take it to old colleagues and family members, and she raised £50,000 from an old colleague and £150,000 from like an aunt and I think her sister as well. But working with family, I've worked with family and raised money through family in the past. It's not as easy as it might seem. I'm a musician. She's an accountant. Better with money. I was a musician, so that was an interesting conversation to get my mum to invest. But anyway, moving on to Michal. On the right there, Michal came from a very poor background in Poland, came over to the UK with very little money, started working as a builder, but realized he didn't want to work for others for a long extended period of time. So he started buying houses. Before long, realized that HMOs were the way to go, but he needed money to do them. And he raises money through his passion, which is similar to me as music, but he was through rock climbing. He loves going and climbing big things. And he was an instructor, and he's happened to be an instructor in quite a wealthy area. And one of the dads of one of his students happened to be a very wealthy business owner, and they just got chatting over the course of a year or two. That he was then able to get instill confidence. He's letting him know what he was doing, and then he then raised almost £2 million from this person over the course of about 2.5 years across a few different deals. So he really scaled it up. And if Michal's looking for money, he generally goes to a party and then puts a bottle of homebrew vodka on the table. Not that you have to take alcohol to raise money, but he definitely found that it lubricated the conversation. So Michal is a bit of an expert at that when it comes to raising money. And the rest, as they say, is history. So that is available for you. The first person that needs to change their mind about raising finance is you. So let's recap what we've covered today. So we've now got our strategy for part one. We've now got the way to find it with our hunting brief. We implement it through property filter. Then part three is we then put it out there and we start raising money if we're going to put that into practice if we don't have the funds ourselves. I'm sure there'll be some of you that are thinking, well, I've got the money to do the first 1 or 2 projects. Fantastic. You've still got to get out there and find them, because actually the first step is that most important one. Finding them is the most important one. So Michal's bank, says Guillaume. Yeah, exactly. The most important step is the first one. We must have a deal to raise finance. and we must have a deal in order to let it out and to implement co-living if we're going to do it ourselves. So that's where I want to take your focus. And that's why we've partnered with Property Filter here tonight, and also in a very exciting upcoming challenge, which we called the HMO Hunt. So you might have seen this over social media over the last week. It's something that I'm going to be running from starting this Sunday night. It's going to be over 3 evenings, and each evening I'm going to spend the evening with you, and I'm going to guarantee that you have at least 30 leads that you can take forward to viewings and then to put offers in for deals that are going to work for HMO. So on day one, I'm going to get you set up on Property Filter if you're not already using it. We're going to look at that hunting brief and the hunting criteria that I use to source HMOs, and we'll get those funnels set up for you. Because there are over 10,000 HMO deals available right now at the click of a button, and that is a live number. Well, there is a live number there from Property Filter. Day 2, we're going to be identifying properties that have got the potential and giving you the scripts that I personally use to engage with agents, either over the phone or in person. And then on day 3, this is the offer stage, where I'm going to show you how I put offers in to make sure they're accepted. And then also looking at how you can start to make money from those deals. So if you're sitting there going, well, I don't really have the money, I don't feel confident, or I don't think I've got the network to raise money, then there are also ways to monetize it, and you can make between £5,000 and maybe £15,000 per deal that you find by selling it to an investor who does buy it. And guess what? We've got a very large pool of investors that are actively buying properties, HMO properties.
Sorry, we're frozen on day 1. Not sure what happened here.
Oh my goodness!
But it was a good explanation. There you go.
Day 3. There we are.
Works now. Yeah. Thank you.
It's Tuesday night. Everything's on go. I've been at the Spa Hotel for the last 2 days, so that's why everything's on go slow. So apologies.
It's okay. It's okay. I mean, it's very clear.
There we go.
It comes across very clear. So.
Hopefully, you can see that word. It is completely free, because the most important step along the road to success is the first one, which is why I want to make sure and guide you past step 1 of finding that deal. Or if you've got some HMOs already, you got stuck and you feel like you're back at step 1. Sometimes I feel like I'm back at step 1 when I'm going looking for new deals, to get you moving again, get you some momentum, because when you're past that, then you started, and that is the most important thing. Also going to do a bonus Q&A session at the end of the week. So I'm going to do 3 days of challenge. Then at the end of that week on the Sunday, I'm going to do another bonus session where if you're implementing what I've asked you to do, then you can come back and ask me questions about anything you've experienced, deals, your offers, your properties, etc. over the course of that week. And also we're going to offer a dedicated Facebook group for support for that challenge as well. So that's the HMO Hunts challenge that starts on this Sunday, the 20th of August. It's 7:30, so same time as you're tonight, and basically you get a lot more me.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Matt. Do you have a link for people to sign up to the HMO Hunt?
I thought you had a link.
Maybe I have, yeah.
You have a link. I can get a link. Hang on.
Yeah,
we're so professional here, Guillaume. This was do you know what? Sure. I even gave you a special link, Guillaume, to use.
Oh yeah.
Tell you what, I'll stop sharing screen and we'll go on to Q&A, but I'll pop the link in the chat in a second.
There you go. I think I find it. There we go.
That is the one. Yes.
Oh, sorry. Well, Matt, thanks you really so much. So I got pages and pages of notes here. So starting with the Lokeba album, which is available.
That's the right place to start.
Available in your best CD stores. Yeah, and of course the Next Level Landlord book. I should have mentioned in your introduction. It's an amazing book. And I learned a few things actually. So I'm mainly a HMO landlord, and I didn't know that the population of professional tenants had aged. In 4 years, they've aged more, than in the period of the sample data. 5 years increase in 4 years to 28 years now, and they stay 18 months. I love your slide around the 5%. So you either serve the very bottom of the market, or you want to be dominating the very top. So I think that's definitely something that we've
Actually,
been
that's something that I didn't really talk about, but that is another part of the market that we do focus on is the social housing, supported living.
interesting.
And we've got clients that are really good at supported living, and we've got something which is just starting on that side to help people in care homes, support living as well. So we're covering both ends of the market. Where you just don't want to be is in the middle.
Awesome. Yeah, you know, like I think you do really well. And PD, so it was a good reminder, I think, for some of us. I think that was awesome. And the hunting brief, our property filter is the way to implement the hunting brief, and why, you know, the two of us work really well together here. And yeah, property is the asset that benefits from inflation, so become investable and get people to bring a deal. So yeah, thanks so much for that. And of course, your amazing offer to spend 3 days with you on a challenge where in 3 days, what is it? In 3 days, you guarantee people to get 30 HMO leads. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. At least 30 HMO leads. When we did the run through, we went through it, didn't we, the other day, Guillaume? Yeah. And I had over 90 to go through, just on just one postcode.
Yeah, just in your area, yeah.
In just one area that I invest in.
Have you followed up with these deals we found when we were just demoing in the system?
I sent them over to Niall. I've been at a spa hotel.
I see.
It's the first time I've had my wife and I have been away since the birth of our second child. So I was prioritizing that one, I'm afraid.
That's right. Now it's time to get into the HMO Hunt challenge. You need to catch up.
Yes.
So a couple of questions. So Manny asked, I think it's in reaction to your comment about your someone on your team or your course doing his first ever deal, a 9-bed HMO. So
yes.
Is that possible, or can you do this as a first-time landlord when all HMO require some buy-to-let experience or first-time landlord experience, unless you've got 2 years of landlord experience and things like that?
So it was. So basically, it's a more of a staggered approach, and she worked very closely with our broker, who's an HMO specialist broker, to ensure that she could get the initial bridge to purchase. So she got just a bridge, and the reason why she had to borrow 200 grand is because she did the works in cash, used a bridge to purchase. So you don't need any experience. Well, you need experience to get the bridge. You need to know the project. But she leveraged our experience to show that we were supporting her through, and the broker and us together, packaged together, say to get the bridging loan.
So did you have to sign on any documents yourself, Matt? Or...
Oh no, we just go on the CV. So we were working,
consultant team.
Consultant team, etc. And we've got links with specialist lenders that will work with our first time clients because we're seeing them through the process. So that works very nicely. So the question that I think you're really asking now is at the back end when you're refinancing, because to get a commercial valuation on a 9-bed HMO, some banks actually you require 2 years worth of experience. If you've got the right person on your team, as a director of the company, you can bring that down. I have seen it go down. I managed to get it after 1 year personally because I had a JV partner who was a structural engineer that apparently ticked the box. So don't just assume you can't do it. Either partner with somebody who's got that relevant experience, or what Rena did is she's gone with she refinanced it after 18 months. So she had 12 months worth of property ownership, which was enough for one lender to give her the lending. And she actually got a really good valuation on it, but the plan was to refinance it again after another couple of years. But she got a really good valuation on it anyway, so she was happy with what she got. So it just has to be managed in the right way. If you want to do your first one yourself, so it will be individual, but she was also putting a little bit of money in herself, so that always looks favourable from the lender's perspective. I think she put in like 50k herself, and the rest was from investors.
Okay, Manny, I think worth spending some time with Matt in the next few days on the challenge, and maybe you can go in deeper into these on the Q&A as well. So we've got Alan is asking, I think this is on the case study with this really big side dormer.
Yeah.
How did you get the first floor, a full 3 meter, same as ground floor, with the right to light angles for the next door? I don't think there was a double story extension, just one single story at the back, and then everything was in the dormer.
Yeah, exactly. It was quite straightforward. It was using PD, so it was literally just side dormer along the entire side, and then there's actually a 4.5 meter extension, I think it was, out the back. So it was a neighbour consultation involved, but no one commented, so there was no issues there. But he needed to do that to get his 34 square meters of required communal space, which Portsmouth require for planning for a 7-person HMO.
Wow, quite a few hoops to jump, but he did it, so with your help, so that's great.
Exactly.
Rob is asking, can you explain financing, please? Is this commercial valuation? I take it this was commercial valuation, yeah, on the example you gave.
Yes, it was a commercial valuation based on the turnover of the property. There are quite a few banks that will do commercial valuations now. The trick with the commercial valuation is always the surveyor. The bank will do anything. They'll tell you they'll do anything. The trick is to make sure the surveyor does the right thing.
Yeah, that's right. So Manny is doing a favor. Say, I've been using Property Filter for a year. It's my single point of place to go on market properties. A powerful tool that saved me a lot of time. So thank you very much for that.
Cool.
And Rob is asking, yeah, these are nominal rates. I think you covered that. Going down. Someone's asking, what's the catch about your 3-day challenge? Maybe not used to genuine generosity.
There is no catch to the 3-day challenge. Obviously, at the end of a 3-day challenge, I'm going to give you an opportunity to do some more work with us. But I will be giving you those steps over those first 3 days to go and do deals, because I actually want you to be doing deals. So just come along and see what it's all about.
Yeah, I would really recommend.
So many opportunities out there right now with the market as it is. We're seeing that there are so many motivated sellers out there that you can help. It's not take advantage of. You can help them. They need to sell their property. We're in a market where some people do. It's not that many people that are really struggling, because but it's also something else which I'm really excited about, lease options, and that's something else that you can identify through Property Filter as well. So
yeah, indeed. Awesome. So someone says, thank you, very informative, learned a lot.
thank you.
Vladimir is asking how to join, so I finally find the link. Sorry about that. Lars is asking, I really like the idea of the hunting brief. Yeah, we use it as well. It's been awesome to us, so exactly as you say, Matt, works really well in conjunction with Property Filter. And then if you've got the blueprint, because you would have seen hundreds of these, so you've maybe tested what works and so on. So yeah. I'd be quite curious to see your template actually, Matt, which I'm sure is a bit different to what I've been using. So I'm sure yours is better.
Yeah.
So.
Well, then well, it's always good to compare notes. They're like, oh, that's something which there. Yeah, but yeah, good.
Yeah, and it's always those marginal gains, so I'm sure yours is, I've been tested many times. So yeah, should be good. Rob is asking, be interesting about the book you offer to share digitally. So is it, you said write me an email or something, and then you'll be happy to send it back. Is that right?
Yeah, if you email team at the HMO platform, but at the HMO platform.co.
By the way, if you come on a challenge, can you automate that they get it or something like that?
Do you know what? That's something I hadn't thought of doing.
Yeah,
I'll think about that.
As a bonus for everybody tonight who joins.
As a bonus for everyone tonight, there'll be a free digital copy of the book. If you email team at the hmoplatform.co.uk, put in the subject free book, and you will freak out my ops manager tomorrow because I haven't told her it's happening. So that's fine.
Okay, so a couple of questions about the ebook as well, some thank yous. Someone's asking about the music link as well. So the
so if you would like to listen to it, then that's the Spotify link. You can go and check it out now. I'm on pianist and keyboards. There is a way to buy it if you want to buy it, but I'm not entirely sure how.
Right.
So it's more that people listen to it, and then just actually follow us on Facebook and Instagram, because then you'll find out about when we're gigging, and that's where
awesome.
You get to see us live.
Yeah, you have to let us know when you come in Birmingham. Yeah. Come and see it.
Love to. We play at Nottingham. We're probably playing at Nottingham again soon, which is close-ish.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Al is saying, always inspiring to listen to you, Matt. And I think, am I right saying that? Because I know Al's got some amazing HMOs that he's built. So have you guys worked together before? Is that right? Me putting any of you on the spot?
Yeah, you're more than welcome to. Yeah, I'm a former student of Matt's, and yeah, it sounds like I'm a stooge here, but I'm not.
I didn't know you were coming on.
No, just to recommend his work, basically, and if you do work with him, I thought you had another student here who you were going to introduce. Is that right, Matt? Did you say that earlier?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I heard something that wasn't there.
I don't know. I just kind of realized that, when we went to the HMO Awards and the two of you were on stage for your awards, and there's going to be a blueprint in common there,
Because of Matt, we won an award at the end of the day. So there you go. And it's through the HMO platform sort of syllabus that we followed, that we created our HMOs based around that. So I thoroughly recommend Matt's training platform if you want to go down that route in the future, if that's up to you. And we actually closed our software, which was I was working on when I got involved with Matt, which was UPLO, to work with Property Filter. We were actually working on a PLO finder. And so to endorse Property Filter on the other way, on the other side, Property Filter was such good software, we just chose not to pursue the development of that. So on both sides, I'm brown nosing both of you, and you both owe me a drink.
Yeah, definitely.
You can stay.
I'm going to disappear.
Sorry. Do you want to put you on the spot like that?
No worries.
I thought I know you guys shared the stage with different awards, and I knew you had a similar blueprint, so I thought I'd mention. So, but sorry, and thanks for sharing this story. I mean, you didn't. Vladimir, talking about high-end co-living, how can you create 5-6 lounge room on living space out of a regular 3-bed house of 70 square meters? 70 square meters, a bit tight, huh?
It's too small. Yeah, you can't.
Yeah. So
come to the challenge, and then that's one of the key things we'll talk about is the minimum space size, and then
Bilal's asking,
less than one, isn't it, really?
Bilal's asking, is it 3:30 p.m. all 3 days? So is that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday? Is that right?
Yep, 7:30 every evening on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday nights. Hopefully, on Sunday we'll maybe I won't spend the afternoon celebrating too hard when England win World Cup.
Awesome. Dean is asking, is there not a risk that you get stuck between PD and not getting the HMO planning change? So I'm not sure in which example you're referring to, but
yeah, no, I understand the Dean saying, I understand the question. So yes, there's always an element of risk, which is why we always take the advice of our planning consultant up front, and knowing what our fallback positions are. So each project is going to be different. So we potentially look at whether we were going to do, because sometimes you can apply for the planning with the PD to facilitate the change of use, but there are some councils just like, nah, you can't use your PD to facilitate a change of use. You have to do your PD rights first to show that it's big enough, and then you submit your application. So your professional would advise you, and we've got an in-house team that we use that our clients can ask questions of, like deal clinics, etc., to know which is the best route. But for example, in Portsmouth, we know exactly how we can get planning. So for us, it's not really a risk as long as we don't rest on our laurels and take too long about it, because you got to know what your percentage is, and if you get your percentage wrong, and there's not enough leeway, then that's where you might run into some sticky difficulties. But as I said, we've got a lot of experience in looking at those types of things. So then you would understand your risk at the time and what your potential other exit strategies could be, depending on how well you bought. And
we are well overrun, so I see people are still here. So Matt, I don't know if you're happy to continue with the questions. I think it's quite valuable, but
I'm happy to keep going if everyone else is.
Okay,
just
cool.
just to wrap up these questions.
Yeah.
Can I just ask me a quick question?
Yeah, Alan, we'll take them in sequence. You want to put them in the chat and
I have done, haven't I?
Yeah. So I will come to you then. So
okay, no problem.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye, Al.
See you all. So Justin is asking,
I don't know.
will you buy a tenanted HMO? And why?
Yes, I would. Where has it gone?
And why?
I would buy a tenanted HMO if there was potential for development. So, for example, I would buy a rundown 5 or 6 bed that had potential to be a 7 or 8 bed. I can see May has said recaution on tenant ensuring correct process has been followed. 100%. We need to make sure that those tenants are evictable if that is the intention to do the property up. But if you're buying any tenanted property, you need to ensure that the ASTs have been done correctly, and your solicitor will do that process for you. I wouldn't be taking any risks, or want to take any risks with tenancies. So I have bought property before where I've made the landlord reserve everything and get a tenant to sign an AST, and they did. They wouldn't always do that, but they did. So I bought it, and it was fine because I evicted him after 6 or 7 months to then enable me to develop it after I got the planning that I wanted. So, yeah, in that particular situation.
Awesome. Trish is asking, is there a minimum wait period after implementing PD right for extensions prior to applying for planning permission?
No.
Yeah, I think nice and easy. Catherine, thank you for sharing the success stories and knowledge. Vladimir, spent 4 weeks on Property Filter. There are not many deals in and around London, so this best market opportunity of landlord exodus are not evident. So can you expand on that and how, as part of the challenge, we'll find all of these?
Yeah, so I wouldn't be looking in London. Like for that would be probably one. If you're thinking about a high level overview of where we're looking, London, like I'm talking M25 and probably deals aren't really going to stack. There are locations where they might do with slightly larger properties, but you'd be better off looking slightly further out and finding the opportunities where there will be more. So being very kind of laser focused on postcodes and opportunities around specific postcodes rather than going London doesn't work.
Yeah. But,
and if like, for example, if you're like focusing on a particular area, and let's say you say I can only find 15 opportunities, like, well, let's look at that and why is that, and let's broaden the opportunity, and I wonder whether it's either a setting that could be changed on Property Filter or whether we just need to expand the strategy.
But you're right as well that there are places where you are competing with people who just want to park their cash, so return is they don't even want a return for it. So it's just understanding you want to invest in a market where you've got a chance to win. So
right.
Trish, thank you. Who are we? So email for the book. I think this was shared a bit below.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. So email the team at the HMO platform.co.uk. Subject free book. Really enjoyed the Zoom session. Thank you very much. So yeah, you're welcome. Super valuable. I have to go. Thanks again. Looking forward for the next session. Is the recording? So yes, this will go into the Property Filter success base in the videos in there. How long will each session be on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday? Nora is asking, Matt.
It's meant to be an hour. Knowing me, it'll probably be
like tonight.
like tonight. Because I like to work to a standard, not to a time.
Yeah.
I would say the content portion would definitely be under an hour, and then I'm happy to do Q&As. We are expecting quite a lot of people on, so we'll be managing that through the Facebook group as well. So I'll explain how that will work when we start.
Awesome. Well, Matt, I'm really, really grateful for you coming on tonight, sharing years and years of wisdom and clarity around finding HMOs. So I would really encourage everybody, to join the Matt's challenge next week. I think it's going to be a banger.
Guillaume, just before you finish, I think there's Alan, Manny's reposted Alan's question here. We did answer this one earlier, Alan. If you were asking about the second floor, it wasn't a second, there wasn't a first floor extension, it was just a ground floor extension.
Okay.
Sorry, Alan. We went over this here. Sorry, I thought you.
Yeah. My internet went, so
Right.
I thought I might have missed it. Thank you. Excellent session. Thanks very much.
No worries. Cheers, Alan.
Thank you, Alan. This is asking, will the HMO Hunt challenge be recorded?
It will be for those who are who registered for the hunt, and let's say you can do the Sunday and the Tuesday, you can't do the Monday, it will be recorded similarly how Guillaume's recording tonight into the Facebook group. So it's important that you join the Facebook group, and it will be live. Those recordings will be live for probably a week and a half before we bring them down. So the idea is to encourage you to take the action now. You know, that's the point. There's no point you coming back to it in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks time. We're doing it now, and the opportunity is now, so you may as well just crack on. That's what I want for you guys.
Awesome. Well,
I may have missed it. What date is it? Is it this Sunday or?
Yeah, it is this Sunday, and the link is in the chat. Let's put the link in one more time, shall we, Guillaume?
There we go. Yeah.
And I'm sure the link will be with the post in the Facebook group as well.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. We'll share it with the recording on that. Okay, well, Matt, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Thank you, everybody, to join us tonight on a sunny summer day. Please connect with Matt. Do join Matt's challenge. I think it's going to be really interesting. Nobody's done an HMO hunt before, so you want to be part of this first one. Visit propertyfilter.co.uk, log on to your Property Filter account, check out your deal blueprint, define your gold mine area, engage with motivated sellers, assess properties in seconds, load your pipeline and make deals, have an endless supply of deals, join the top 1% and become a high achiever deal finder. I hope you enjoyed today's Deal Finders Corner. Looking forward to seeing you next week. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Guillaume.
Thank you so much, Matt. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.